If you are like thousands of other buyers out there, then getting your offer accepted has been a little hard. Well, let's discuss 5 ways you can spice up your offer in order to help increase the odds that yours is picked.
I need a house in the hills that come with a deck and a grill. So all of my niggas we've been cooking for real. I gotta get back to the real. We gotta get back to the field. This all my people is looking up still. Said I need a house in the hills.
As always, be sure and like and subscribe. It gives more people access to the tips here and helps the channel grow. First, let's talk about minimizing repairs. When the seller is weighing options between the different offers, the viewing everything is how it relates on their bottom line, meaning your net offer. How the repairs are structured in your offer also affects this bottom line. There are a few things you can do to help minimize the effects of that. One way is to offer to accept the home in as-is condition. This does not mean waiving your right to an inspection contingency, although if you plan on doing a complete renovation anyway, then that may be a good option as well. Accepting the home in as-is shape lets the seller know they won't have to spend money on repairs. Depending on your loan type, this may be a good option for you. If you have a government loan, meaning a USDA loan, VA loan, or FHA loan, they have strict appraisals in which the lender can require repairs. If you are not comfortable making repairs on a home before closing, then you can always request lender-only repairs, meaning that you will not request repairs, but the lender has the right to. Lastly, you can set a maximum repair budget for the seller. It's typically worded like the seller will be required to make repairs to a maximum cost of X amount. X amount being the amount of repairs you would ask for. All of these are important options because the seller will estimate repairs that you may request before accepting your offer. And number 2, cash above appraisal or an appraisal gap. Right now, as much as I hate it, most times you have to push the offer price above where the comps suggest it can appraise for. The seller, if they have a good realtor, will know this. That means they will know that a lot of your offer price is just a little bit of fluff. To counter this, it's very popular right now to offer an appraisal gap. The appraisal gap states that if the appraised value of the home is less than the offer price, then you will cover the difference. You have the option to set a max difference you will cover or leave it open-ended. The choice is yours. If you make a max, for example, of $5,000, then a low appraisal will work like this. If you have an offer price of $300,000 with a $5,000 appraisal gap, and the home appraises only at $290,000, then the new purchase price will be $295,000. If the home appraises for $298,000, then the purchase price will stay at $3,000 since the difference is less than your max. In that case, you will only bring $2,000 above appraisal and not the full $5,000 that you offered. If it appraises at full value, then you don't have to worry about anything at all. If you leave this open-ended and waive your appraisal, then you're basically saying that you will cover any amount that it appraises under. If you're leaving this open-ended, then you really want to be sure that you and your realtor have looked over the comps and are really sure about the appraisal range. As always, you want to plan for the worst. A key point here, the bank will only lend you up to the max appraised value of the home. The appraisal gap is paid out of pocket at closing. The best way to view the appraisal gap is to count the full amount as part of your closing expenses. That way, if you have to pay it, it's no shocker, you've already planned and budgeted for it. And if you don't, it's a little bit of a bonus so that you get to keep that money in your pocket. Don't overstretch yourself because if it appraises low, there's no way to talk the seller out of you paying the difference. Number 3, the offer price. This is a no-brainer. This is the most common way to beat other offers is by raising your offer price. This is not an exact science. You're bidding blindly against your competition. Your realtor's knowledge is your best bet of knowing where to offer and what can get accepted in the market you're in right now. Number 4, closing expenses. Closing expenses are a good way to raise your net offer. You can offer to pay the seller's closing expenses. Don't stress, the closing expenses of the seller are way less than that of a buyer. You will want to place a cap on this and say up to X amount and specify where the funds are able to be placed toward. If the owner of the house has a lien or things like that, the closing costs are able to climb up in the thousands or tens of thousands of dollars based off how much that lien is. It's important on this to place a cap and let them know that you will pay the closing expenses up to X amount. And number 5, lastly, this one I put here as a last resort, or if you just have the extra money like that and you can have the money to throw around in order to do this. And I'm talking about paying your own realtor. Buyer's agent are normally paid by the seller. By offering to pay your own agent, then that greatly helps the net offer and bottom line of the seller. This one is not offered much by buyers, but it can be a game changer. Now, this is not a one-size-fits-all plan. You will want to speak with your realtor and lender about what is best for you. Every market, every home, every buyer are not the same. You want to put an offer together that is the max combination you are willing to do and you can do and that you're comfortable with, and tailor it home by home. If you make a good offer with a good package, you're bound to win the home sooner rather than later. As always, be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you for joining with me today, and good luck and happy house hunting.